Episode 134.
Late Night Internet Marketing.
This week on the Late Night Internet Marketing Podcast, we talk about the fact that you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. What in the world does that really mean? And we also break down the Facebook Ads Manager. What are all these campaigns and tabs and stuff, and how can you stay organized when you're running Facebook ad campaigns? All this and more on the Late Night Internet Marketing Podcast.
The Late Night Internet Marketing Podcast.
You've been working for somebody else, but you want a business to run yourself. You want to know how to start and where to begin. Can you get out your comfort zone, my friend? Yes, you can do it right when it's late at night. At the end of the day, your dreams burning inside. So keep it up and you will find that you're building your business one night at a time.
And now, broadcasting late at night from a little studio in the big state of Texas, your host, Mark Mason.
All right. How's everybody doing? I am Mark Mason, your host of the Late Night Internet Marketing Podcast. This is the podcast, by the way, where we help you, that's right, you, build your business one night at a time. Whether you're a part-time internet entrepreneur like me or you're rocking it 24/7, we're trying to help you get everything that you do down the road, make it better, grow it. And we like doing that. That's a lot of fun. I have had a fantastic and busy, amazing week since we last spoke, working on all kinds of crazy things in my business, including my 100K factory journey. You'll recall that I am working on this drop shipping model, building a little niche store and working on trying to drive Facebook traffic to this niche store and convert that traffic to profitable sales of items, physical items that I will drop ship from China. This has been really interesting to me. And one of the main reasons that I wanted to go ahead and do this was it's a fantastic way for me to learn Facebook advertising, or at least a facet of Facebook advertising, from a couple of guys that have really spent hundreds of thousands, maybe by this point, they've spent millions of dollars on Facebook ads. And a lot of times, you know, when you want to learn something, really the only way you can really learn it, or maybe the best way to learn it effectively, is to learn it from someone who's actually doing the thing that you want to learn about. And that's one of the things you have to watch out for when, quite frankly, when you buy courses and do things on the internet. Are you learning from someone who's actually doing the thing that they're talking about? And, you know, a lot of times, most of the time on this show, we talk about things like SEO and affiliate marketing and things that I actually am doing on a day-to-day basis. And one of the reasons that I maintain niche websites is so I can learn things and explain them to you. If I just tell you about the things that I learned 4 years ago, like a lot of internet gurus do, or the things that worked once for somebody else that I heard about, that's a little shaky, right? So in order to have credibility, I keep doing the things that I'm doing, in part so that I can have credibility when I talk to you. And when I took this Facebook-related dropshipping course, I wanted to learn from some guys that are really doing it. And these guys are really doing it in spades. Like, they have warehouses and stuff. So, you know, it's a big kind of 7-figure operation that they have, maybe 8 figures in some cases. This has been very interesting. And I've been working, and I'm building a Shopify store, and we're going to talk all about that. I've learned a lot about Shopify, which is something as a WordPress guy I never touched before. This has been all very interesting. And if you're interested in learning more about what I'm really doing, I found a great article for you on the Shopify blog about how to drop ship with AliExpress. The course that I'm taking is really a version of this article on steroids. And one thing that the course that I'm taking focuses on is Facebook traffic generation, which this article doesn't talk too much about. But if you want to know about the business model itself, about drop shipping from AliExpress, you can find a link to that in the show notes. Again, it's an article over on the Shopify blog. And if you're just curious about this kind of business model, I definitely recommend that you check that out. So this week I want to talk to you a little bit about a mindset thing, and that's this incredibly famous quote by Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn's a motivational speaker, and he's often credited with saying this thing where he claims that we are the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. And sometimes you'll hear that expressed as your income is the average of the 5 people's income that you spend the most time with, whatever. The idea is that you are very heavily influenced by the people that you're around all the time. And I wanted to break this down for you by example. And what made me think about this is a lot of you know that today is actually day 9. When this episode goes live, it will be day 9 of my 90-day journey to healthy eating. So we've talked about this a little bit on the podcast before, but I've been putting on 2 or 3 pounds a year for the last 20 years. And I am like a lot of American males. I'm not in terrible shape. Well, maybe by some measures I am in terrible shape, but I'm not in terrible shape, but I am carrying an extra 30, 40, maybe by some measures, even 50 pounds. Certainly, if you look at the body mass index charts that are prepared by U.S. government kind of people, I'm well overweight. And I've done work over years to try and lose that weight, and I've generally lost it and put it back on. And so I was talking about this issue with my buddy Cliff Ravenscraft when we were at Social Media Marketing World. Usually when we're somewhere in the world, he will drag me, sometimes kicking and screaming, but not usually, to Chipotle. I actually like Chipotle, but Chipotle that's his jam. He wants to go to Chipotle. So we were going to Chipotle talking about the fact that he had recently started 100 days of clean eating. And Cliff has a pretty straightforward definition of clean eating. He's not all hardcore over on clean eating like Whole30, but he's definitely in that direction. He's talking about no processed foods and carbs and things that come out of a box, so cookies and anything that looks like a sweet thing, none of that, and no sugar. He talks, a lot about how he's just not eating anything sweet at all. So nothing that looks like sugar. No artificial sweeteners because of, I think in part because of the insulin response that can create, and the fact that it's been correlated to retarding weight loss when you go hardcore over on artificial sweeteners. There's some data that suggests that tricks your body into creating an insulin response, which makes it harder to lose weight. No deep fried foods for Cliff. Nothing like bread or any simple carbohydrates. So he's eating whole foods, essentially, nothing deep fried, always sort of healthy foods, really a common sense thing. And really what Cliff is doing is managing his insulin response. And that's a whole nother topic that we can talk about. Well, that's something that I know a lot about. I've actually done a lot of research about how to do that. What I lack is the self-discipline to do these things very well. And so knowing what to do and what thing you should do and actually doing the thing, as a lot of us know, are often sort of 2 different things. And so when I was in San Diego with Cliff, we went on this relatively long walk to Chipotle. And if you're familiar with San Diego, I think the Chipotle's on Broadway Street. So it's a 10-minute walk from the waterfront. So we're walking and Cliff is telling me, not picking on me, I'm asking him questions. He's telling me about this diet that he's on, and diet's not even the right word, this way of eating, this lifestyle that he's adopted for 100 days. And we talked about the fact that he'd done that before and I'd done it a little bit before, but I had never made it for 100 days. And he was arguing that one of the things that happens after that amount of time is you really totally reset your body's cravings and expectations, and you really build in this habit. And he was convinced, he was arguing. I asked him, well, what are you going to do on day 101? And he said, well, I'm just going to keep rolling, because by that time, this will be the way I do life. Instead of eating cookies, I'm going to be eating, salad bowls essentially from Chipotle. Actually, insider fact, Cliff doesn't eat a lot of salad, which is a whole big advantage that I have over him in this way, because I love salad. All this to say that Cliff convinced me to do this thing, to eat the way Cliff is eating. And, I realized that, gosh, this is a really good idea. It's something I can do. And he was very encouraging to me. And in fact, when I got home from San Diego, he was texting me, especially in the first few days, to make sure I was doing okay and I had the encouragement that I needed and that I was making it. And now, it completely thanks to Cliff and my own desire to do this, but really thanks to this guy, I'm on day 8 of this 90-day journey with a 100% success rate. I feel fantastic, and I've shed over 10 pounds in the last 8 days. Now, half of that's water, but I just feel great. These kind of diets are diuretic, meaning that they cause you to shed water so you're not puffy anymore. Inflammation goes down there. It really make you feel good. I feel great. So why am I telling you all this about this diet? Well, it turns out the reason that I'm doing this is because my life is the average of the 5 people that I do life with. And this is a really good example of why. It's because the people that you're around on a daily basis, the people that you spend the most time with, are going to influence you to do things that you might not normally do otherwise. This is an absolute fact. I just gave you one example, and I will give you another. And that's one that I talk about all the time, which is my mastermind group. Yesterday in my mastermind group, I talked to them about this new Facebook Live thing this journey that I'm going on, where I've created a Facebook group and I'm now doing weekly Facebook Lives. I did the first one this week on Tuesday. And if you're interested in being a part of that group and knowing about the Facebook Lives and stuff, as I mentioned last week, you can go to latenightim.com/FB group for Facebook group and ask to join the group. I'll let you in. It's a lot of fun. We're hanging out and we're doing stuff in there. And so that whole thing is a result of sort of hanging around the right kind of people at Social Media Marketing World. But most recently, the advice that I got about doing that group and the way I'm doing it and my motivation for doing it, particularly the live video, has come from the fact that I spend time talking to one of the members of my mastermind group, Leslie Samuel. And Leslie has been doing these amazing videos for his brand that really inspire me to do some live stuff. Now, Leslie's lives are just over the top. I mean, he is really fantastic at video in general. And some of his live videos involve his wife, and they do singing on Friday nights because they're both incredibly musically talented. This stuff is just crazy good. But I'm inspired by the fact that I see Leslie doing this kind of stuff and having this kind of traction. And he's encouraging when I talk to him about doing live video and how to do it and how to think about it. And so the people that I'm doing life with are influencing me, and they will influence you as well. And I tell you another kind of general example of how this works in reverse is if you are hanging around people that are generally negative or generally sitting on the couch or generally, instead of doing something productive, they're bringing you down or dragging you off to drink beer all the time or whatever, well, you average down. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't have social time. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that, if you are around people that share your hopes and dreams and goals of making their life better, they will rise you up and you'll rise up to their average. And if you're around people that are beaten down by the man and are sitting around, not doing much and just complaining, you'll be pulled down to that level. So the takeaway from this is I really encourage you to think this through. Who are you spending the most time with? Do they build you up or are they dragging you down? Are they sucking away your life force or are they actually adding to it? And one way to do this is spend a week actually making a note of who you're spending the most time with. You might be surprised. And this can go across context too. You might have a clique at work that you spend time with in your day job. Are these the people where you go out to lunch and they spend the whole time talking about what a crappy job you have? Or are these the people that are talking about how you can be more effective in your job, how you can do bigger things, how you can get ahead, how you can contribute more to the company? Which 5 people are you hanging out with? I think you should be intentional. Yeah, you should do that. I think you should be intentional about hanging around the kind of people that are building you up, helping you be better, helping the company succeed at work. And the same thing goes in your private life. Are you hanging around a bunch of people that are really negative and really don't fit your entrepreneurial mindset? Well, when you make this list and pay attention in a week of all the people that you hang around with and take some notes about who you're spending time with, I think you need to honestly assess whether or not those people are building you up, because that's the key to taking advantage of this thing that Jim Rohn is talking about. So my action for you this week, I'm not asking you to go ditch all your friends, okay? That's not what I'm suggesting. But I do think you should go through the mental exercise of making a note or keeping a log of the people that you hang around with and understand whether or not those people, each one individually, are building you up, are bringing you down. And if you've got people on that list that are bringing you down, I think you should really consider whether or not that's good for you over the very long run of your life. Remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint, this life thing that you're living. So small corrections, even a small change in the amount of time that you're spending with someone who's having a negative influence in your life, as opposed to someone who's having a positive influence in your life, a small change in the amount of time that you spend with such a person can make a big difference over the course of these next few years.
It's time to get to work. Building your internet business. One night at a time.
One night at a time.
Okay, so what I wanted to talk to you about today was one of the things that's always bugged me about Facebook. You get into the ad manager and it's just like this confusing, intimidating, crazy looking thing. I mean, it looks a little bit like Google Analytics. And so to that extent, it's a little bit familiar, but when you get in there, if you've never been in there, you have these tabs. So if you're in Facebook and you look at, you choose create an ad or you click on ads, you're taken to the ad manager. And you may not even be aware of this, but you can sort of choose whether you use the ad manager that is attached to your personal Facebook account or you upgrade to sort of the business ad manager, which is a kind of a heavier weight version of the little ads manager that is present in Facebook. It doesn't cost anything. It's free, but the Facebook business ad manager at business.facebook.com allows you to manage sort of multiple properties. And by properties, I really mean pixels. So you can have, let's say in my case, I have one sort of Facebook set of Facebook activities that where I'm driving traffic for this one set of properties that I own that's related to this niche site that I'm building on Shopify. And then I have another whole other thing that's completely unrelated for Facebook ads and related activities on late night internet marketing. So the business account allows you to do that and keep all that stuff separate and keep the pixels separate and all this kind of stuff. So when you log into the Facebook Ads Manager for Business, you're sort of taken to this home screen where it shows the company that you're working in, which is something that you can choose. You can be managing or involved with multiple sort of top level companies or organizations. And inside those organizations, for example, my organization, my top level organization in the Business Manager is Mason World LLC, which is the name of my LLC that I operate under. You can have different ad accounts. And one ad account that I have inside of this Business Manager is an ad account related to this project that I'm working on with Shopify. So when you go into your ad account in the Facebook Ads Manager, you're presented with 4 tabs. One tab is an overview of your account, and this just basically tells you what's going on with your account, how much you've spent lately. It gives you some kind of top level statistics on your account across a date range that you can specify. And again, at this point, this thing looks a lot like the layout of Google Analytics. The other 3 tabs are labeled campaigns and ad sets and ads. So those are sort of the 3 views that you have of data and the way that you can organize the things that you're trying to do in the Facebook Ad Manager. So the question is, what are these? What's the intention? What's the difference between a campaign and an ad set and an ad? And what's the right way to think about organizing ads inside of the Ads Manager? Because after all, if you're going to do this, you may end up with tens or hundreds, probably hundreds or thousands even, of different ads. It's obvious to me immediately when you get really aggressive about starting to learn Facebook ads. One of the things is to understand this and know that you need to stay organized and do that from the outset and understand how the Facebook Manager is structured so that you can organize your ads and ad campaigns appropriately. If you ask Facebook about this, what they'll tell you is that when you set up your campaigns properly, it helps you better measure your performance and understand how to optimize your ads, because you're able to measure your results by choosing the right kind of objectives by campaign to help you measure results and see where to spend your money. It helps you test different audiences. So you'll be able to create ad sets for the different audiences so you can determine the most responsive audience so you can target the right people. That's a huge part of this activity that I'm going through with my Shopify store. And then you'll be able to, when you're organized well, identify which ads work better when you create multiple ad sets, and you'll be able to pick the top performing ads based on changes in the image or the videos or the links. And so that's the reason for being organized inside the Facebook Ad Manager. So here's the deal. Remember I said there are campaigns, ad sets, and ads. Understanding these 3 things will help you stay organized. So a campaign contains one or more ad sets. So campaigns are made up of ad sets. So the important thing to understand about a campaign is that each campaign has an advertising objective, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But campaigns are made up of ad sets. Ad sets, as the name implies, contain one or more ads. So this is where you're going to talk about your targeting, who your ads are targeted at, what your budget is, what the schedule is for running the ads, bidding for the ads, where you're going to place them, and all that happens at the ad set level. And then, of course, the ads are the creative that you actually make, the ad that you actually run. When you're on Facebook and you see someone advertising something in a square, that is an ad. And so ad sets are a collection of these ads. So when you're creating these campaigns, this sort of is the beginning of structuring your advertising activity on Facebook. And you use this thing called the Ads Create tool to create the campaign by defining the objective for what it is that you're trying to accomplish with your ads. And this may be something that you've never thought about or realized. But at the campaign level, this is where you can easily turn your campaign completely on or completely off, look at performance and stuff like that. And you do these campaigns based on the objective that you're trying to accomplish. Do you want more page likes? That's a campaign. You would run a campaign to get more likes to your Facebook page. Do you want clicks to your website? Do you want conversions? In my case, in the Shopify case, I am running campaigns where I am trying to convert people on Facebook to buyers on my website. So those are website conversion campaigns. Are you trying to get engagement or installs of your app or responses to your event or views of your video? All of these are different kinds of campaigns. So you can immediately see if you're running a website like let's take my Shopify website, for example. I might have a Facebook fan page for that site. In fact, I do. Whenever you're advertising on Facebook, you're advertising sort of philosophically from your page. It's your page that is actually doing the advertising on Facebook. And I might, for social proof, want a lot of likes on that page. So I might run a like campaign. So where I would essentially write an ad that encouraged people to like my website. And you've seen these on Facebook. Come like us, click like, come check us out. And that provides social proof for your brand whenever you're advertising on Facebook. And so that might be a really smart thing to do. I might want to drive people onto my website to convert them to a sale, like I'm doing on my Shopify site, where I advertise a product. And the goal of this campaign is to get people to actually buy that product. Now, I'll use I'll use the Facebook pixel in this case to help Facebook understand which traffic that they're sending to my website is actually converting. So if they start sending hundreds or thousands of people over to my website, it's very helpful them to understand which of the few of those hundreds or thousands of people are actually buying the product. So I instrument my Shopify website with the Facebook pixel, and that feeds back into my campaign. Hey, you sent me 1,000 people, but these 10 actually bought the product. In the future, please send me more people like these 10 people that bought. And oh, by the way, it turns out that these 10 people that bought were females between the age of 35 and 45 who also are fans of Rachel Ray because I'm selling some cooking thing. Okay. So that's the kind of thing that you do at the campaign level. Now, once you've got a campaign, inside that campaign, you create this next level down, which is the second tab, called ad sets. And generally speaking, these ad sets you use ad sets to determine the audience you want to target. You can also set your budget at this level. So maybe you want to spend more money advertising to women between age 35 and 45 than you want to spend advertising to women between age 25 and 35. Maybe those older women, that older demographic, maybe they're cooking more and you're selling cooking stuff, or they're cooking for their kids or with their kids, or their husband is cooking for them, whatever your demographic is. What they're doing in their life is different than what 25-year-olds are doing. They're early in their career. They don't have kids. And when they cook, they're cooking with their boyfriend, and it's a meal for two. Two totally different audiences would need probably two totally different ad sets with different graphics and maybe different calls to action, a different appeal. And ads are going to work differently across those two groups. So your targeting for each ad set is going to be different. You're going to manage that activity at the ad set level. And again, one of the cool things about that is you can set daily and lifetime budgets for these ad campaigns at the ad set level. And then the third level that is underneath that is the ads level. So within an ad set, within this ad set of women that are 35 to 45 that also like Rachel Ray that we found that are responsive to our offer, we will have different ads. And the cool thing about having different ads is you can have different creative pieces, is what you call them in marketing, that are effective in different ways. So maybe you've got 5 or 10 different great images of women in your demographic using the product, or maybe women in your demographic respond well to pictures of men cooking in the kitchen, and that's responsive. But in the beginning, you don't really know, so you can test these different creatives inside these different ad sets to try and understand which one of your images works the best. And I'll give you an example. When I first started out my Facebook fan page, what I needed for this Shopify experiment that I'm running for drop shipping, one of the things that I wanted to have was likes on my fan page to make it look less like a brand new fan page that was just created yesterday, and to increase the social proof of this fan page for people that saw my Facebook ads and visited the page, because it says, 400 people like this. So I ran an ad campaign, a like campaign, where the objective was Facebook likes, in order to grow the likes on this page. And in order to do that, I used 5 different images that I picked at random that I thought might be effective in generating page likes for this page. And guess what? 2 of those images were way more effective than the other 3, and 2 of the images accounted for 90% of the likes that I was able to get in this like campaign. And that is something that Facebook was able to figure out for me by the automatic split testing that it has inside of the ads manager. And it was able to optimize the campaign in that way for my demographic. Could I have guessed that those 2 images were going to be the best 2 images for my ad campaign? Absolutely not. And this is a thing that I've generally found to be true about marketing forever. What is actually going to work and convert is very, very hard to predict sometimes. Sometimes the only way to know what's actually going to work in your ad campaign is to test it. So these different ads allow you to choose different creatives, and it might not just be images, it might be video. And maybe you have one image that has a big free shipping logo on it and one image that doesn't, and so forth. And so you can test all these different ad creatives with different calls to action and different colors and different pictures, all these different ideas that you have for what ads might work inside of your ad sets by using different ads. So that's how it works. It's a hierarchy. There are campaigns, and campaigns are made up of ad sets. Campaigns are where you target a particular objective. Ad sets are groups of ads that you have that target particular demographics. So you have the top level is objectives, the next level is who you're targeting, and the final level are the ads that you use. So I hope that helps you demystify a little bit about the Facebook Ads Manager. And maybe in a future activity, we'll talk a little bit more about actually running ads and some of the other things that you can do to demystify Facebook ads. All right, so that wraps it up for this week. I hope you enjoyed this discussion of Facebook ads, and I hope you spend some time this week thinking about who you're intentionally doing life with. Again, I'm not suggesting that you ditch all your friends, but the people that you surround yourself with make a big difference about your outlook and the outcomes that you're going to get. And I think you should be intentional about the way that you do things in your life. You'll get a lot better results that way. Ciao.
You can do it right when it's late at night.
You've been listening to the Late Night Internet Marketing Podcast.
Be sure to visit latenightpodcast.com today to leave feedback for Mark. Download special bonus content, access the show notes, and more. See you there.
Until then, go and make some great progress on your internet business. One night at a time.
One night at a time.
Okay. So the super coolest thing happened to me on Monday. You guys know I'm a big baseball fan, right? So it's the start of the season, and in fact, opening day here in Texas was on Monday. So I'm sitting at my desk on Monday, and the phone rings, and I had a busy day on Monday. I mean, things have been really busy at my day job since I got back from social media marketing world. We have some big business activities coming up starting next week. So I've been doing a lot of work to prepare for that, a lot of meetings, a bunch of stuff going on. It's just nuts. And the phone rings. I pick up the phone, and it's a buddy of mine who tells me he's not feeling well. That made me sad. I was like, oh man, I'm sorry you're not feeling well. And as a result of the fact that he's not feeling well, he's not going to be able to use his 2 Rangers baseball tickets that he has for tonight, for that night, for Monday night, that he was planning to use to take his son to opening day. Wants to know if I would like to have the tickets. So, my wife has this thing where she talks about, as we raise our children, creating scrapbook pages in their mind, these events where we actually do stuff together as a family. And it's the stuff that years later they'll think, you remember that time when we went to the Rangers game? So I jumped on this because in baseball, opening day is a big deal. And actually, when I finally got the tickets, when I finally got an email from my buddy that the tickets were available, and here they are, in Major League Baseball now you can email the tickets. So he emails me the tickets. I was in a meeting, and I stopped the meeting and I said, guys, I appreciate all the work that you're doing. Please continue, but I've got to go to a baseball game. So that was kind of a funny way to end a meeting. And I got up and left, and I chose to go build this scrapbook page with my son. And we went down and had an opening day experience. There were 48,000 people at the game, which is a sellout crowd at the ballpark in Arlington. Unfortunately, the Rangers lost, but it was an exciting game with lots of home runs. My son ate a tremendous amount of ballpark junk food. I ate nothing, because it turns out when you're eating whole foods, the amount of things that are available to you that you can actually eat at a baseball ballpark are really few. It's the first time I've ever been to a Major League Baseball game without drinking beer. That's for sure. So, it was really fun. And it was just really the highlight of my week this week was taking my son to opening day for the Texas Rangers. And I'm sure it's something that he will not soon forget. And I encourage you, if you've got children or important people in your life, to look for those opportunities to do stuff that they just simply won't forget. Sometimes it takes a little bit of effort. Sometimes you've got to make some choices. Like I had to choose to prioritize that at the last minute over other stuff that I was supposed to be doing that day. But it was well worth it, because it's something that he and I will share, we'll have together. We'll always have that memory of his first opening day experience for Major League Baseball. Ciao.
Late night internet marketing.